Ninja, 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 ninja.
You're not muted. We're not muted.
Ultra Ninja JK, dupla, jinxa, bota, chakra em cada linha de faca. Face, macramé no micado, base, espadas por frases. Sintático, repara no que digo, é paradigmático. Não tenho paralelo, sou para lado mágico. Sabes como rolo, martelo pneumático. Técnica secreta do monstro roxo. Estamos a meter-nos no dojo, estamos a manter combos no jogo. Só com uma espada nos tojos. Plano picado, não sabes de onde esta ave vem. Nenhum radar pode detectar onde está a nave, mãe. Tu sabes bem. Somos a clique, somos o clã. É Monster Jinx cabrão, respeito ao vais comer tartan. Na terra do nunca não digo banzai. Vivo na espunca e tenho um bonsai. Ninja que é ninja, ninja, frotas imperiais. E bate mal, logo bate mais. A minha cru não sem espelhos. Na rua, dragão azul, dragão vermelho. Sente o silêncio. Verso shinobi, nunca me canso. Sou de Nairobi, ágil como um ninja. Rápido como um ninja, letal como um ninja. Brutal como um ninja, fatal como um ninja. Forte como um ninja, secreto como um ninja. Deve mesmo ser um ninja.
Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas, 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 ninjas. Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas, 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 ninjas. And we are live, and a good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Top 5 Collaborations with the Westerosi Ninja and the Dawg Show. I'm your host, the Westerosi Ninja, as you can see from my shirt. And tonight, we will be going through our top 5 moments of Episode 5, Season 8, The Bells. And joining me, as usual, is Dawg from the Dawg Show. So what's going on, Dawg?
Oh, great to be here. Another Saturday evening here with you, Milt. Been antsy all day, waiting to get it out tonight here. Our top 5 moments from Season 8, Episode 5 of Cobra Kai Season 2.
Yep. We're going to talk about, it's all about Cobra Kai tonight. And so what did you think about Episode 5 of Cobra Kai Season 2 last weekend?
And yeah, of course, folks, I'm trolling a little bit there. Yeah, we will be talking about Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 5, and Milt. You've known me for quite a while now, right? And I'm pretty passionate about the show, right? And
You like the show,
shows, right? Okay, I gotta get it out right now. This is this episode. I can't think of another episode out of all the other episodes ever that's worse than this episode. So
Nice.
Right now, I'm dubbing this the worst episode ever of Game of Thrones, right? However, that being said, it's still the best show on television, right? I mean, compared this show, its production, the sound, the music, all that stuff, right, against anything else on TV, right? It's still the best, I think, that's available right now. So I was still, it's still the greatest show. But as far as all the episodes I've ever watched, this was the one that had me a little turned into the Mad Dog Targaryen, if you will.
So are you saying that is better than season 5, episode 10 with Bad Pussy?
I think, you know what? If you ask me right now, which one are you going to rewatch? Right? They're in the bin right now, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna watch the Bad Wetchy before I watch this episode.
Oh man, okay, so there goes. It was worse than Mother's Mercy. So anyway, awesome, yeah. And some people are saying, I think fandom says, Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken. That is season 5, episode 6. The Fight of the Sand
When they
Snakes.
dress up like stormtroopers and try to save the princess.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, it's basically, So Bronn and Jaime were like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and the Dornish guardsmen were like the stormtroopers. And Arya Hotel was Captain Phasma.
Right. Or even the Wizard of Oz reference there too, kind of thing.
Yeah, all right.
It was cute.
So anyway, I don't think it's the worst episode I've seen, Game of Thrones. Because there are plenty like an episode in seasons 5, 6, and 7 that are comparable. I thought it was an okay episode because of the cinematography. right? The camera, the lighting, the special effects. And just because of that, I would give it at least a 4 out of 10. But yeah, but in terms of the writing, it was pretty weird. So it was pretty inconsistent. It was, I don't know. I think there was a lot of fan service in there. It was basically meant to put certain characters in certain situations where they would fight and kill each other off. So anyway, with that, we are on the Westeros Ninja channel. So what does that mean, Dog?
Oh, that means we have some numbers, folks.
Yes, we have some numbers. And, to be consistent with the theme for the past 4 weeks, we're going with the US viewers per episode numbers in the millions. And, of course, these just represent the first airing in the US. And in episode 5, we've had 12.5 million viewers, which is the most ever in Game of Thrones. So it beat out season 7 finale, and it beat out the season 8 premiere. So this is the most ever. This is the record breaker, if you can believe it. What you think about that?
I think last week we said, and because like last week, the way it didn't decline as much as we thought it possibly would. The episode prior to the episode 4, right? So I think both of us thought that it would possibly be the highest watch episode ever this time, and it definitely was, right? And then of course I think folks, if there's been a lot of backlash, it seems, right? But I think all that being said, this coming Sunday, tomorrow night, will be the highest watched episode ever. It's going to be the fugitive episode of our time, right? They might actually have to stop the baseball games, I think.
So if you had to give an over-under on the number of viewers for the last episode of Game of Thrones, what would it be? Not that I condone any form of gambling, people.
You know what? Why not? Let's go for unlucky 13.
13 million? I think
Let's see if we can break the 13 mil mark and we get another 500,000 to watch this episode, right? With all the, even though it's been kind of getting some bad buzz, any buzz is kind of good buzz, right? So I think, let's go for 13 million. I think that's what's going to happen here, Milt.
Yeah, I think it's going to hit 14 or 14.5 because of all the buzz of this being the last, ever show in Game of Thrones. I think the buzz will be built up, or if it hasn't already been built up, regardless of, the season in general being, pretty inconsistent. I'm thinking 14 or 14 and a half. But we will find out next week, So stay tuned next week, guys, when we do our season 6 recap. We'll show the numbers and see where we land. But cool. All right.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But, Game of Thrones has had this really steep uptrend, since season 6. If you notice, right? Notice the curve. It's kind of like it was, growing relatively slowly, then boom, since season 7 just really jumped. So the hype is out there, so great. All right. So let's go ahead and this is it. Okay. We are going to go with our top 5 moments of episode 5, titled The Bells. And since Dawg is the visiting team, he gets to go first. What is your top 5?
All right. So my number 5 moment here, folks, and real quickly, folks, moments could be good moments. They could be bad moments. I usually go for things that are, something that might lead to something later, right, in the next episode or, down the road, right? We only have one episode left, right? But this is, kind of the basically what goes on here with Jon Snow and Varys here at the beach, right? But prelude to this, Varys, we see in the beginning, he's going to be writing this letter, right? Similar to what Ned Stark was doing in season 1, right? And so we can kind of tell that he's possibly doing some sort of a plot, right? And now there's a little girl that comes in, and a lot of folks right now, and I think that's what was kind of happening here, but they didn't really touch on it a lot afterward, was that Varys might have been trying to poison Dany.
That's correct.
Because he was asking the little girl, hey, is she eating or something, right? And she's like, she's not eating, right? Well, we'll try again at supper. And she's like, she's worried because the soldiers are watching her, right? and he's like, high risk, high reward, things of that nature, right? But long story short, Varys meets Jon on the beach, and basically he kind of informs him that he knows about his lineage and he should basically overtake the throne. Jon's not having it. What was the line Jon uses? She's my queen.
Yeah.
So I think that's all he's been saying that a lot.
After he said that he doesn't want it for like
he doesn't want. I don't want it. She's my queen. Fall back. So good job, Jon, there. So, but this is pretty much the undoing of Varys, right? We see Dany was looking overhead, and Tyrion had walked in and was like, "Somebody's betraying you," and she thinks it's Jon Snow right away. And as soon as he's like, "No, it was Varys," and I was really shocked that Tyrion had sold Varys out. Actually, it was kind of a touching moment when Tyrion, touches Varys on the arm as he's about to go out, but. I think Varys went out like an absolute boss. And we predicted, I think we talked about how Varys would go out.
Yep.
Would he be like all panicky and things? And he stood there and took it, Mel.
Yeah. I mean, he took it for the team, a team of one. And I thought this was a good scene. I think it was a good plot line, actually. Varys trying to betray Daenerys. I wish it was fleshed out a little bit more because, I would like to know whether or not any of his letters that he was writing, proclaiming Jon as the true rightful heir of Seven Kingdoms actually went out. So what do you think about that, Dawg? Do you think any of them actually went out? He has a lot of little birds, right? Or he was.
Right, I'd like to know that it go out to, pretty much anybody right now. The new Prince of Dorne, right, that we were talking, they talked about before. Did it go out to Yara? Did it go out to, say, even Robin Aaron? Just to name a few that I can think of, maybe Sir Bronn of Hightower, possibly. I don't know, or Gendry even. It might have gone out to him, possibly.
It could have been sent out, express mail, to Edmund Turley, still, in the dungeons at the Twins.
Yeah, he should know too. Somebody should, maybe, inform him about it as well, and then possibly let him out. Maybe he can get his gang of fish together. And help out.
Yeah. But in terms of how Varys went out, it was pretty awesome. What did you think about the whole thing about Tyrion fessing up and says, "Hey, dude, even though you saved my life, I snitched on you." And then, Varys didn't get mad or didn't do anything. He didn't seem like he got mad or anything. He just seemed resigned. It almost seemed like he expected it. He wasn't surprised at all. So, how would you feel, Dawg, if like you saved somebody's life and then he snitched on you to the queen and you were gonna get roasted by Dragonfire, in the next 10 minutes?
That's what kind of shocked me a bit because when you think about it, Varys has been Tyrion's best friend. I think even better than Jaime. This guy was literally, scooping up Tyrion's leftovers, if you will, and throwing them overboard, right? And saved his life, right? And I know there's been some changes in the book, and from his character in the book, of course, right? But all in all, Varys did everything he could to keep Tyrion alive and get to this point, and for Tyrion to just kind of rat him out like that, it didn't feel like it had enough depth. To kind of, I guess I wanted to see Varys go out with a little more depth to why he went out, right? Why he got burned. The only other thing I would have liked to seen was possibly, maybe Tyrion had figured out that Varys was possibly trying to poison Dany, and then therefore he might at that point have to have no choice but to tell Dany that Varys is trying to kill you.
Sure. So did you think Tyrion knew that Varys was trying to poison Dany before or after found out, or after Tyrion saw Varys talking with Jon on the beach?
I'm thinking
probably afterwards. Yeah, probably afterwards. Yeah,
probably after that.
I thought that was kind of weird to basically, okay, Varys, I get it, you are part of the Daenerys' council of advisors and yada, 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 but to blatantly be on a beach, right, in broad daylight, talking to John one on one. And what are people gonna think? Especially what's Tyrion gonna think?
And
In terms of like what they're talking about.
well, and also I was just thinking back to when Tyrion first told Varys about what was happening, and no, it was actually their second scene, when they were on Dragonstone, and Varys was like, Tyrion asked, what are we going to do about her? What happens to her? And Varys was like, which was basically, the sign for, that's going to be the end of her. So I'm thinking maybe Tyrion, mentioned that conversation too. That would be it. I guess I would give that a little more depth to it. However, I think, when you just look at it from a one episode viewpoint, it just doesn't feel as much depth. You really, I would have to kind of piece back, what happened in that previous episode.
Well, as as par for the course in this season, not a lot was fleshed out in these scenes. So could have had a little bit more backstory about the nature of Varys' betrayal. Like what he was actually doing besides writing letters. Maybe there was like a lot more stuff that he was doing that we never know, that we are never gonna see. So, but cool, good moment there. The burning of Varys, the Master Whisperers, the mermaid. So, my number 5 is none other than the most pointless death ever. And who does that star? Freaking Qyburn, of course. He went out like a chump in 2 seconds. Zombie, what's his face? Gregor Clegane basically grabs him by the neck, throws him against the wall, and he dies like in 2 seconds. And this was such an integral character in terms of his relationship with Cersei and what he was doing at King's Landing, right? I mean, his Master Whisperers, somehow he recruited the little birds that Varys all had. Somehow he was able to basically raise a flesh golem called the Mountain, okay, who basically can survive a knife stabbed through his head, but yet can still follow spoken commands, except for that last scene. We never knew why he was at Harrenhal to begin with. Like, whose side was he on? When you first met him, nobody knows that. And also, how did he get a hold of this technology? Basically to create flesh golems. And why did he only create one flesh golem and not more flesh golems? I mean, the whole Kingsguard could have been like flesh golems, if he could just be just as strong and just be as impervious to harm. That's what he should have done. Cersei probably wouldn't have minded that one bit. So he had a lot of secrets, but we never basically got inside his personality, or got inside his motivations, and got inside his other works, as Hand of the Queen, and we lost it. There's nothing else that we know about this guy other than the fact that he was some creepy dude that created Frankenstein and was Hand of the Queen and Masters of Whisperers to her, basically a sycophant, if you will, and that was pretty much it. I really wanted more out of this guy. I mean, you watched The Walking Dead?
No. I watched this first season, Mel.
Okay, in seasons 3 and 4, the governor had a similar kind of person. His name was Milton, actually, by coincidence, and he was kind of like the same guy, really smart dude, science type. He was experimenting on the zombies, and they killed him off without getting any. They killed him off without any kind of further insight into his character as well, his backstory, and I feel like I missed his backstory in The Walking Dead, and I feel like the same way I missed Qyburn's backstory in Game of Thrones.
I absolutely agree with you there, and when we think about this, we first met Qyburn, I think Robb Stark, and I forgot what his wife's name was.
It was Talisa, yeah, it was in Harrenhal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it's kind of like the Stark. The Starks first find him, and then he was an intriguing character, like with what was going on with Jamie, and some of those really powerful scenes, especially when he was first, trying to get rid of the infection in Jamie's, where his hand used to be a stump, if you will, right? So But on their way back to King's Landing, I thought that was a great scene before they went to save Brienne. And then we have this guy has he's like the opposite side of magic, right? He's using technology and science basically to get what needs to be done. And there's his greatest creation ever, the mountain, and never expands on this ever. And
Never.
I've been asking, just like you have, Milt, why didn't he make a whole bunch of these Franken mountains, right?
Exactly.
And it just seemed kind of. We predicted this, both of us. I think we did. I know one of us did for sure. We assumed that Qyburn's death would come via the mountain.
Yeah.
Just kind of like Frankenstein and the creature. So
yeah,
and now nothing about that. What his true motivations were, other than loyalty to the people that were kind to him. I guess, right? I mean, when you think about it, Starks took him in, Boltons have him, and then now the Lannisters have him, and then they take him under their wing after what he does for Jaime Lannister, and then now he's just a loyal servant to those that are loyal to him or that have been kind to him.
Yeah. I mean, if his motivation is just pure loyalty, then he doesn't really even have an agenda. I mean, he's almost like he's a one-dimensional character at that point.
Exactly.
That's his only That's his only motivation, is just being loyal to people. I mean, I think there was a lot more that they could have done to this guy, and we will never see. Yeah, and, creating a Queen's Guard full of zombie mountains or zombified humans would have been probably one of the first steps that he could have done, to basically guard her.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, the mountain was tougher to kill than the Night King or the White Walkers. I don't even know if you stabbed the mountain with Valyrian steel, would it kill him?
We don't know. Not. I mean, that's the thing. We don't know what Qyburn did to create it. I mean, to create the zombie mountain. I mean, what was there any kind of special white technology that he knew of? From experimenting, at the Citadel. Who knows? I mean, all that stuff is gone, right?
It's just it was just kind of snuffed out for chuckles, right? It was like, we saw this scene and it was like, oh yeah, he's just dead, and it's like ha 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 ha, but. It gave us it was kind of a it's a cheap laugh, if you will, to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the set looked brilliant. It looked beautiful, of course, and the coloring and all that kind of stuff. Sure. But when you look at it from a story perspective, it was just kind of, a chuckle for one time. But kind of hurt the big picture, I think, Mel.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, that's my number 5, the most pointless death ever. And let's go into number 4. Dawg,
all right,
take it away.
So, my number 4 here, folks, is what I like to call the Bell Plan. And this is kind of the planning, if you will, of what was to come, for the attack on King's Landing. And why this is important to me is that I think Dany and Grey Worm, and I don't think Jon now, just because of his actions, and I might get into that later here tonight, but might have known about the actual plan at what happens during bell time, right? So Tyrion is pleading with Dany, any possible way to save the civilians and things of that nature, which, the previous episode, I believe it was, where, Dany said, something about, if the sky should rain on them, basically they should blame Cersei and not her. She gave them the opportunity to, she gave Cersei the opportunity to surrender. She beheaded Missandei, and, now that option's gone, right? So if you're going to blame anybody, blame Cersei on this, what's about to come. Now, Tyrion's concerned about this, and he's pleading for their lives, and he talks about the bell. If they ring the bell, that means surrender, which if we go to previous episodes, like back in season 2, episode 9, Blackwater, Davos Seaworth even says, I've never known bells to be surrender or to mean surrender. But apparently now the bells mean surrender. And as Tyrion is pleading for them to, call off the attack, at the bells, Dany gives Grey Worm the nod, and I apologize. I meant to put a Grey Worm picture in here too, but She gives Grey Worm the nod.
Yeah,
and
so
Grey Worm
sort of
gives the
sort of like
nod
that little
too,
wink.
but right, yeah, the old winky, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of after this though, we see where they're kind of lining up in front of the Golden Company, and Tyrion's talking to Jon about what happens at bell time also. And Jon was very, very hesitant, if you noticed, to give the nod back, right? I mean, he was just kind of, maybe he was just sinking in about about everything that was about to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that he didn't know about what was going to happen at bell time. However, the only thing that would make me believe that he knew was that he was very hesitant to nod back to Tyrion in that scene. What'd you think about that, Mel?
Yeah, it's too bad because I think it was already preordained that Dany was basically going to go ahead and burn King's Landing, no matter what Tyrion said or no matter what Tyrion pleaded for, and Grey Worm already had his orders, right, that they were going to go ahead and basically slaughter everybody that they can see inside, basically fire and blood all the way, the ending of episode 4 when Missandei said Dracarys. Okay, Daenerys took that to heart, right, essentially, and says, yep, that's what I'm going to do, man. I'm just going to burn them all, and nobody can stop me. So for Tyrion to keep on pleading his case, I thought it was just kind of like a lost cause, right? I mean, I think his chance was, I think he was just hoping that he can somehow convince Jon to basically, surrender. No, not surrender, but basically stop the fighting when those bells rang. And then maybe perhaps Daenerys would see that, see Jon, basically being gracious, being the gracious victor, and basically, stop. But right, it wasn't gonna happen because she went ahead and started blasting things even when Jon stopped fighting. She didn't care anymore. I mean, that was it. I mean, she went totally Mad Queen here. So, yeah, it was misguided and misfortunate,
Right. And that's what I'm wondering now is like, did she go Mad Queen at the bells, or was this preeminated, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was. I think this was planned out from the outset, and it wasn't like she went crazy when she heard the bells. But I might get into that later, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, she probably. I mean, yeah. To me, I think it was preordained, and then Grey Worm had his orders basically. Okay, Grey Worm, dude. I know you're pissed off. So if I start basically burning civilians and taking down King's Landing, you basically have free reign to do whatever the hell you want to do, and and Jon was helpless. I felt sorry for Jon and Davos actually, because they were in the thick of the fight, even though Davos was the only person with a clean sword again, after a battle, and I mean they were like, what the hell is happening here? I mean, it's like. I mean, they were trying to stop people, right? Poor Jon, he basically killed one of his own guys.
Right.
So, yeah, but poor Tyrion. I mean, Tyrion is just being ignored right now, right? Essentially.
I'm sorry.
No. I'm saying that Tyrion's just being ignored right now, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think she's had enough of his mistakes from prior to.
Yeah.
And and that's what's interesting because I think at the end of their scene is when she says, by the way, we have your brother. Mm-hmm. And and if you mess up again, you're not going to mess up anymore after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like right away, he does the opposite. So I think she's totally lost trust of him, possibly, and then from the mistakes in the past too, of course. And he's being ignored, Milt.
Yeah.
Well said, sir.
Definitely, great choice. The Bell Plan, which wasn't followed by anybody, and I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out in the chat. I can't say hi to you guys individually, but I really appreciate it. And thanks a lot for coming out, everyone. So number 4 for me, okay, numero cuatro, is a cosmic coincidence. Okay, this has to be the most remarkable coincidence ever. where Euron just happens to meet up with Jaime at that exact place at that exact time, so they can do battle with one another for absolutely no reason, right? And this is an example of classic fan service or classic writing, season 7 writing, whatever you want to call it. Because first, I mean, let's look at the map, okay? I don't have to scale up here, but essentially, Euron's fleet was in these little black ships right here in Blackwater Bay, okay? And here's the chain from season 2, Blackwater, right? Where they lifted the chain to trap all of Stannis' fleets from going through. And, there's roughly about maybe 200 yards, 300 yards, off the shoreline where they were kind of like anchored and parked, okay? In a cluster for whatever reason, because if you're going up against a dragon, against superior air power, what you want to be is actually scattered. So they can only hit one at a time. And then the other ships can fire at them. But no, they were all clustered together. So, the dragon could basically burn 4 or 5 of the ships at once. So good planning, pirate, Euron there. But besides that, if you just look at that red line there, okay, that's roughly about maybe 2 miles of shoreline, right? And so basically, Euron's ship got basically blasted to pieces. He jumped off, and he swam to the exact point, okay, where Jaime Lannister just happened to be underneath the Red Keep, okay, along this red line somewhere. I don't know where the exact point is, but it's a freaking long shoreline, okay? So how did that happen, dog? I mean, how did that happen? Where they met at the same exact time and place so we can have that fight together.
Yeah, because reasons, right? But I knew something goofy was happening, that Euron didn't die, because they showed, first I was in shock of when the dragon came down, because the week before that, Danny was, in a dive bomb going after all those ships, right? But this week, or last Sunday, it didn't matter. Drogon's super buffed up now and just destroyed everything like it was nothing. And we saw that one shot where he comes in at Euron, and Euron's half jumping, but then they just have flames covering the camera. So you're assuming, well, maybe he wasn't even hurt, right? He is I don't even think he was burned or anything by what Drogon did at all.
Yeah, plus
he would have had to have swam all that way.
Exactly.
And
then meet up with Jaime at that exact time and place.
Moment in time, folks. Right?
Yeah.
This is what happens this is something that an adolescent would write. At this point, right? So it was little things like this that was irritating me a little bit.
Oh yeah. And guys, I mean, Euron is dressed up in leather armor. What happens to leather when it gets wet? It gets pretty freaking heavy, right? And he's still wearing his leather, so I mean, he is a kraken. I'll give him that, right? He is a kraken, so maybe he knows how to swim in leather armor, water-soaked leather armor. But that's pretty heavy. That's really hard to swim, especially when you're out. You see his boats behind him. That's at least 300 to 400 yards away. Okay, that's a freaking long swim, guys. Okay, so anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, and the fight scene was okay. I mean, I didn't mind it. Again, Euron said that Jaime, fought well for a cripple. Cool, right? I mean, that's a kind of a funny line. But, okay, guys, Euron's one of my favorite characters, okay? Even in the show, I thought he's pretty cool. And in the books especially, he's way cool. But his last line is that at least everyone will know that I'm the man that killed Jaime Lannister. Euron, dude. Nobody saw the fight. Okay, nobody knows that you're the last guy to kill Jaime Lannister. Okay, there's nobody else around. So why the hell did you say that? It doesn't mean anything for you. It doesn't mean anything because you're dead. You're gonna die in 2 minutes. So
that was possibly Mel. Do you think that was possibly the worst line ever in the history of all the episodes we've ever seen? I'm the man that killed Jaime Lannister.
Yeah.
Do you think that was possibly the worst line ever in the history of the series?
Besides bad pussy?
Yeah, and things of that nature, right? Or I've got warts or something, right?
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad considering especially the context, right? In the context of the whole battle, I think it was pretty bad. Because it didn't make any sense at all because it was a one-on-one fight. Nobody was around. So why would someone say that? And the victor, quote unquote, the victor would have died anyway. So
this is where I was kind of ripping on the editor a bit too, or even the director or somebody. Why didn't you just cut that out, please? Cut that out to the point to where he was like, "I got you," and he was saying, "I got you, I got you," and then maybe just show that he died.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody's gonna walk by him, in the next episode and find out that he died.
Yeah.
But they could have just left it at the point of when he said, "I got you," and then cut.
Yeah.
And no, they didn't. They had to have that cheesy line that we're never gonna forget that. And
I mean, cheesy line. It was a cheesy fight. I would have preferred it much better if they basically had Euron just basically escaping mysteriously and nobody knew of his fate. Or he would have come back. He would have appeared the next episode and died. Like fighting Jon or fighting somebody else, right, in a boss fight.
Dude, I just figured they would try to have some sort of concern or care for going for an award, like an Emmy or something.
Yeah.
And to me, when you do stuff like that, you're not deserving of an Emmy award for best show or things of that nature, right? That's just kind of what kind of disappointed me a little bit, is that I just feel that when I'm watching this episode, I don't feel that, other than like the cinematography, the sound and music, all that wonderful stuff. It's that deep depth of story and some of the writing decisions that make me go, that's not Emmy, right? That's not the show that I watched originally.
Yep, like in seasons 1 through 4, people. So anyway, we're down. Hey, we're up to our top 3 now. We're down to our top 3, Dawg. And once Dawg finishes his, is that Mountain Dew or did you switch?
I ran out, and I was freaking out today. I ran out of Mountain Dew.
Okay.
I had to settle for Coke today, folks. So,
there, guys,
don't freak out. I didn't quit Mountain Dew or anything. Mountain Dew will return.
All right. So top 3, Dawg, you're first.
All right, folks, and we talked about the Bell plan prior to, and now I want to talk about this ground assault. What kind of happens afterward? We talked about Dany's nod to Grey Worm. We talked about having that little conversation with Jon, and Jon's hesitated nod. And kind of when all hell breaks loose, if you will, things kind of go WTF, right? We, especially the look on Tyrion's face and Jon's face afterward too. But we got to meet the Golden Company, right? All that build up and talk about the Golden Company, and folks, they were a bunch of crumb bums. I mean, literally, I don't think they killed anybody. I don't know if I would like to know if the North troops, if we lost anybody. This might have been, maybe we lost like 2 people. This might be like the Battle of New Orleans or something.
Yeah. So I think we lost 2 people. Jon killed one of them. Okay. And then the other person that died probably tripped into the fire.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's 2 people.
So imagine like a fantasy Battle of New Orleans, if you will, is what kind of happened here. But now here's another thing I picked up on also, Milt, and that's why I use this picture here, right? As we're marching our troops in to have our siege of, our takedown of King's Landing after all these years. Who's on the front line here? Grey Worm, right? I could see Grey Worm. We've talked about Grey Worm before. He's one of the baddest fighters in Westeros, I think. Jon Snow, who I think I put him as my top fighter. I think I did long ago, Milt.
Yeah.
And, Davos Seaworth, pardon my, Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight, is on the front line with the ground assault here, right? And I'm guessing during the Long Night episode that Davos was watching Arya taking out all those the whites that were coming after her, and he picked up on her moves and things of that nature. And he is a man to be feared with a sword in his hand in Westeros now, folks. As you can see, he is on the front line of this ground assault here now. So
he swings a sword so well and so quickly that no blood sticks to his sword.
Ooh, that is impressive. That is very, very impressive.
It's
Here.
like lightsaber. It's like a lightsaber, dude.
That is that. Ooh, and that he was rumored also to be in the next Star Wars project too. So that would be interesting to see. Master Onion Knight, Jedi Master. I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I might talk about something that happens a little bit, to kind of set things in motion here. But as King's Landing is being absolutely devastated and burned, Grey Worm attacks the Lannister soldiers.
Yep.
That basically surrendered. They were kind of lined up in there like, we can't be defeated,
Mm-hmm.
or we can't defend King's Landing anymore. We throw our swords down, and Grey Worm goes on the attack as Dany's kind of out on the attack as well. And Jon does his fallback line. Grey Worm gives him a look, and this is why this is one of my important moments here, because I think we might have a Grey Worm Jon showdown, and they've kind of foreshadowed that in the I think like the last 2 episodes when they were like in the War Council, and Grey Worm walked up to grab his pieces off the board, and he kind of gives Jon a quick look, and I didn't know if it was respect or honor, or like, hey buddy, you want to fight? Yeah. I didn't know if it was like one of those looks. And I think earlier in this episode, when Jon and Dany were talking, Grey Worm gave Jon the look also, but he sees Jon telling him to hold his troops back, which makes me believe that Jon doesn't know about the Bell plan, where Grey Worm's like, hey, dude, don't you know about the Bell plan? You're like, when we hear the bells, that means destroy all the people that threw their swords down. So I think Grey Worm's not going to be too happy, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, this proves that he really didn't know anything. He knew nothing about Inda's ground assault here. Yeah. Hey, but in that picture though, Grey Worm does look like a total badass though. So why is he in front, but like the King of the North or the Warden of the North now is not? I don't get that, but whatever. It's all Grey Worm for this. It's all about Grey Worm in this battle, right? He is the general. So great pick. Yeah, and very, very weird ground assault, and very, very weird battle plans, defense plans, especially by the Lannister forces, which I will get to later on, believe it or not. So for my number 3, if everyone's finished with the crumb bums, is the Westerosi mind trick. Okay, and what happened here? You guys remember the Jedi mind trick? Where Obi-Wan basically told the stormtroopers to leave Luke alone and leave the droids alone. I mean, they're not the droids that we're looking for. Step 1 is to find someone weak-minded, like stupid, and then basically use this Jedi mind trick. Well, guess who did it in this episode? Tyrion Lannister against the Unsullied, guarding Jaime in the tent. Okay, so basically Tyrion walks up, right, to find Jaime, and he sees like 10 or 12 Unsullied soldiers guarding him. Obviously this is a very important prisoner. Okay, don't get me started about why Jaime's a prisoner, considering he just helped everyone win the Battle of the Long Night, or Battle of Winterfell, but now he's been captured for whatever reason and is a prisoner. Okay, but nevertheless he is a prisoner. So think of the Unsullied now as being the Imperial Stormtroopers. Tyrion goes with this really cool line in High Valyrian where he says that he wants to drink to eat the Skullkeeper, and then of course the Unsullied is going, what's going on with this? And then all of a sudden Tyrion just goes, no, I'm the Hand of the Queen, and all of a sudden the Unsullied, who are knowingly guarding this really, really important prisoner, okay, and who also know that Tyrion is the brother of the said prisoner, they just turn their heads and walk away. Tyrion did the Westerosi Jedi mind trick here, guys. Okay? He definitely did. And then basically left him alone with Jaime. And, hence, after that, the consequences were that Tyrion let Jaime escape with no guard whatsoever. There was no more guard outside their tent. I mean, Tyrion and Jaime could have spoken together alone in the tent with at least 3 or 4 other guards standing outside. But no, they all left after this Jedi mind trick by Tyrion. It was just him and Jaime made the quick and easy escape. So there you guys have it. Star Wars parallel in a nutshell. The good old Jedi mind trick, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Tyrion Lannister.
And this is further proof of what I might talk about later of other Star Wars, influences into the series, of course. And well done, Milt, on this one. And this reminded me of the scene in The Force Awakens when Rey all of a sudden learns this mind ability, right? And she's like, "Hey, you're gonna release the straps or whatever, and drop your weapon, and tell me how to get out of here," basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, which was just silly at the time because Rey has never even seen this ability, how to do it.
Yeah.
And Tyrion can do it now too, and he's never had any Jedi training that I've ever known. Right now, again, I think this whole scene, this whole setup was for fan service, basically.
Yep.
And I'm gonna explain why. Is that I talked about the last scene. I think, where they were having the Bell plan, and Tyrion was leaving, and Danny's like, "Oh, we have your brother, by the way."
Okay.
And so I think that was just kind of thrown in so we could have one last scene with Tyrion and Jaime together.
Yeah.
I think that's what that whole thing with, why Jaime was captured. I think that was just kind of a little thing they threw in to just have make sure that those two had one last scene together, which was a nice scene. However, we've kind of seen that setting with them before, and I think this was also a throwback to when Tyrion was with Varys, right? And he was gonna eat the baby. I think he was like, "Hey, I want to eat your baby." To the one lady, on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was kind of a throwback to that. So it was like, hey, do you remember when that happened? I think in season 6, maybe.
Yeah. Well, they just needed Jaime to do something besides being a captured prisoner for absolutely no reason. People are asking, well, Tyrion does outrank them, but sorry, you have 12 people guarding a single person. Everybody knows that this person's a high value prisoner. Okay, it doesn't matter, whether or not the hand of the queen, who happens to be the said prisoner's brother, wants to talk to them, which is fine. Okay. But the idea to leave the whole place unguarded, is totally ridiculous for a high-value, prisoner, especially when the person visiting them is their brother. So there you guys go for that. I mean, it's just common sense more than anything else.
You'd think they would.
Yeah.
You'd think they would know. I mean,
yeah,
they lost a lot of guys. You would think so. Their forces aren't as big. You would just think out of all the. I mean, Tyrion kind of stands out too.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of folks with his stature, if you will, right? And that hang around the queen, right?
Yeah.
Lots of times he's around Danny, so you would think that they would know that he is somebody that's pretty important right away.
Yeah.
They might get an attention when they see Tyrion.
Yeah.
They don't even know who the hell he is, and then he's like, "I think I'm in charge." The way the tone, the way he says, "I outrank." Whoever told you this, he's not very confident about it. He's like, boy, I hope I outrank him now. So
yeah. So Rose Ramp said something really funny. He suggested that perhaps Rian Johnson could have been ghostwriting this episode. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's very possible now. I think they definitely were trying to subvert our expectations. Pardon me.
Yeah.
So
I think Unbend, Unbound, Unbroken was probably like, Rian Johnson's first attempt at ghostwriting, and this is probably like, second. So, and it may have gotten worse. So, the good old Westerosi Jedi mind trick by Tyrion Lannister. And hey, we are down to our top 2 now. But before we get into our top 2, guess what, people? Oh yeah, it's about episode 6 predictions, guys, with the wheel. All right, so Dawg, you are the visiting team as usual again. So, do you have a question to ask the wheel that's related to episode 6? An open-ended who question.
Who gets married first?
You mean who gets married in episode 6?
Right.
What do you want? Who gets married first in episode 6? Because we can have multiple.
Right. Maybe it might even be after the episode, or it might be in the epilogue or something. Right. But
right.
Yeah. Who gets married?
Okay. So we have to spin it twice then.
Absolutely.
And Westeros is a very liberal society, so we do count same-sex marriages. So the first person, let's call them let's call the first person to get married.
One more wedding.
Tell me when to stop, by the way.
Stop.
Okay.
I guess a wedding and trial by combat is probably the same thing, isn't it?
See, I don't think he's married. Even in the books, I think his wife could have died, is already dead. So, yeah, Jan Royce. why
Awesome.
not? All right. So, and guys, I had to change the wheel up because we've had like 7 deaths, right, last episode. So I had to replace them with like really, really minor secondary characters. So, Jan Royce is the first person to get married. So let's call him the groom, right? So let's spin it again for the bride or the other groom. Tell me when to stop here.
Stop.
Okay, looks like Jan Royce is gonna marry Baby Sam.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Didn't see that coming.
What do you think about that, dog? Is that possible?
That's gonna be a crazy wedding. I can tell you that. It might be crazier than the red wedding and the purple one. I don't know what color this one's gonna be, folks, but might want to stay away from that one.
All right, whoa, that's pretty crazy. So it looks like we was predicting a Jan Royce and Baby Sam wedding. So I got a question for the wheel, and this is a very simple question. Okay, basically, whose face will we see last in the entire series? Not the last person to speak. Whose face will we see last? Okay, because we could have like a visage or something like that going on. Okay, and I don't remember, somebody asked me that question before, and I never put it into the Breaking the Wheel videos, so I'm putting it now. Whose face will we see last in the entire series? And away we go.
That's a great question, by the way.
And I think we're going to stop now. The last face we'll see is Yara Greyjoy.
Ooh.
That's interesting. I don't think so, because I don't think she's a major enough character. But wow, I mean, you never know. So that
would be wild. I fully expected to see her this last episode trying to help out against that fleet, but Danny didn't need anybody. Anyway,
if Yara does appear, I think it's gonna be like in a time jump. I think the aftermath. Danny gets crowned, and then there might be a time jump, and then maybe we'll see a lot of these characters come back after Danny dies. I don't know. Or
crazy.
Yeah.
So we have a question from
people in the chat. People in the chat. First person to ask a question for the wheel, we'll spin it. We'll ask and spin.
And it's got to be a who question, folks.
An open-ended who question, people.
A wheel full of who's.
Yeah.
The wheel knows all. It is known.
The wheels has about a 25-26% success rate, which is a lot better than you pathetic humans out there on YouTube. That
is fact. I think if we get like 5% right, that's amazing.
So, and that is from the Imagination Realm. And she's asking, who kills Danny?
Ooh.
Okay, we already said that, though. We already asked that question in the Breaking the Wheel videos.
Oh, can we get another one then?
So, so we need to get another question. Sorry, Imagination Realm. Okay, and that answer was hot pie. Go check out Breaking the Wheel number 7 on my channel, the Westerosi Ninja.
Hot pie poisons her with the gravy.
Yeah, it was hot pie. Yep, bakes a pie. Looks like, who does Jon kill? He might kill a lot.
What they did there.
Okay, so who does Jon kill? Fearless Mermaid. All right, so so who does Jon kill first, perhaps?
That's a good one.
How's that work? So we'll go ahead and spin her.
Yep, spin and then say stop for us when you get a chance.
Yep, Fearless Mermaid, type in stop. Okay, when you see the wheel spinning, or whenever you want to basically see the wheel stop.
And
all right, we're stopping here. Yara. Jon's going to kill Yara first.
So
Go ahead.
at the wedding,
Yeah, at Bronze John Royce's and Baby Sam's wedding.
and that's going to be the last.
Perhaps.
Oh, yeah, it would be the last face we see as John as he's killing Yara, and that'll be roll credits right there.
All right. You know what? I want to do one more because I think this is pretty funny. Okay, and this is from I like this question. This is from the Granite person, and he's asking, who will Sansa marry? Or you think she's going to remain like, or is she going to be like a Queen Elizabeth I and basically just not marry at all? So let's take a look here. And Granite person, type in stop. All right, we're stopping here. Sansa is going to marry Baby Sam.
Awesome.
Could be. He could be, he could be the Night King and maybe Sansa would be the Night Queen. I don't know, whatever. So there you guys go. Okay, so Baby Sam is going to be, after Baby Sam kills Bronze John Royce, in the wedding, then he'll go and marry Sansa. There you guys go. So anyway, let's go into go back into our top 5 moments here, Dawg. Okay, and Dawg's left. And let's see, any other questions since he's gone here? Let's just do, has to be a who question, guys. Okay, I see. Okay, Dawg's back, so we're not gonna do it.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. And away we go. Next guy. I just felt like spinning it. Okay, it looks like Sansa. So anyway, we're done our number 2s, and Dawg, you're number 2.
All right. And my number 2 here, folks, is what I call Execute Order 66. And this is where everything just changed for me. And I know I've probably mentioned my Danny story a few times, folks, but this is the character that brought me, not so much brought me in to keep me watching the show, if you will, but this character cemented my fandom into the show to where, no matter what happened, I was going to continue with the show all the way through until the bloody end, right? And that's when she took the Unsullied, and I'll never forget that scene when she was like, free all the the slaves. If you see a chain, free that person. You see somebody that's weak and being picked on, free that person, right? Destroy all the masters and and their armies and take down tyranny, if you will, right? And no, this all just changed with Execute Order 66 when the bells rang. The bells rang out as everybody was surrendering. Right. And she had just already taken out all the military tactical points. The Golden Army, the Golden Company was destroyed and the bells were ringing. And then she just kind of just goes kind of crazy. However, we feel we talked about this prior to with the Bell plan that I think this was premeditated. And now she was having issues going through with that plan still at the same time, evidently. And and then she goes out and just at first I thought she was just going to go after the Red Keep, and then nope, she just started going kind of like a Zambui on the hockey rink on King's Landing, and just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and just burned everything to the ground. And I was just like numb by the end of the episode, and like I was just like, is this really happening right now? Is she ever going to stop? It's like 40 minutes of her just burning everything.
Yep.
And it made absolutely no sense to me. I mean, I've seen her do some kind of wicked things to like her prisoners per se, or like people that have done wrong, right? She's burned them alive, things of that nature, but it's never been against civilians and children and mothers and it was just I was just numb by the time it was over, watching the destruction of one of my favorite characters, who I believe is basically just Anakin Skywalker now. We'll see what happens here Sunday with her melt, but I think this is basically her turn, from the good side of the Force to the dark side of the Force, and she is now Darth Vader, if you will.
All right, and, Darth Vader with a dragon and no artificial limbs.
Here.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it would have saved Drogon a lot of energy if she just went after the Red Keep and burned that thing down, with Cersei in it, But no, she wanted to kill everyone to make a point, because it's all about it's all about a revolution. It's all about being masters of Westeros, but via fire and blood. I mean, which is really bad because considering that even Aegon the Conqueror didn't raise King's Land, didn't raise host cities at a time. Yes, Aegon the Conqueror raised Harrenhal, a castle, but that wasn't populated by 1 million people, right? And Aegon the Conqueror, yes, killed a bunch of people in a feud of fire. We all agree on that, but that was war and a battle. But this is like, killing, basically 30 minutes of killing innocent civilians. I mean, the analogy I make to this is like the U.S. dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Essentially, is what is what happened here.
It's a perfect analogy,
And whether or not it's basically her quickly this is the only way for me to gain power in Westeros is to basically make an example of King's Landing, and this will stop any kind of future rebellions and wars. Maybe that was her thinking, or whether or not she just went crazy. I don't know, but it's nuts. And what's up with Grumpy Cat, Dog?
That was me.
Yeah. Okay.
That was me watching. By the end of it, I was just like, did this happen? And then I heard about poor Grumpy Cat. And then, well, you know what else was going on? Why? This is another reason why I put it in there, too, is because when I was looking for photos and I just looked up like season 8, episode 5 and things to look up, Grumpy Cat was in there. And I specifically had all the stuff filtered to where it's Game of Thrones stuff. And Grumpy Cat was in there, and I was like that, because that was me by the end of this episode. Yeah. I thought it was fitting that this was pretty much the time when that was kind of going down. It was at this point when I saw her just destroying, the civilians and stuff.
And people are saying R.I.P. Cat, and that's true. Evidently, Grumpy Cat passed away a couple of days ago. We were talking about that, before trivia, and the cat was only 7 years old, so it's a young cat. Short life for a Grumpy Cat.
Wow.
Yes. So anyway, and enough about Grumpy Cat. Let's get on to my number 2 here, and Mad Queen all the way. Westeros Ninjas number 2 is. Yes, we really needed those elephants, okay? And this is all about the Golden Company, okay? Wasn't there supposed to be 20,000 Golden Company soldiers and 2,000 horses? Okay, that came over. And what did we see? Yes, that's what Harry Strickland told Cersei. And how many people did we see? We saw one horse, okay? The white one that Harry Strickland was on, and about a few hundred men, like maybe 10 battalions of like 100, maybe like 50 or 60 men, and that was it. So where is the rest of the 19,000 Golden Company soldiers? Were they like disguised as the civilians in King's Landing? What's going on here?
I think there was a lot of Ario.
And why didn't they put up a bunch of fight? Go ahead. What? Sorry, Dog. Continue.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me, Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were trained by Ario Hoda. What do you think?
I guess. No, Ario Hotas. It was basically 20,000 Ario Hotas, basically. That's what we had because, evidently that first attack from behind, through the gates basically decimated all the Golden Company. It basically killed 20,000 soldiers in one blast. Because we didn't see another Golden Company soldier again fighting unless it was those dudes burning. And that was it. And Harry Strickland, of course, being, having a spear thrown, to his back. But these guys were awesome looking. I mean, look at their shields, man. It's awesome, right? Look at their armor. It's awesome. And yet, they They just totally freaking disappear in the whole show. 20,000 Golden Company soldiers, people. 2,000 horses. We only saw one horse and about maybe at the most 1,000 soldiers. Just saying, where were the rest of the Golden Company? Okay, where were they? 20,000 Golden Company soldiers could have put up a hell of a fight against against the Dothraki, and Sully. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, the whole thing didn't make any sense. I don't even know why the Golden Company was even involved, in this whole plot line whatsoever. And I don't even know why there was such hype around, the Golden Company if all they were going to do is basically just, just bend over and just die, fall over and just die like, like basically domino pieces. And would the elephants have helped? I don't know. Probably not, because they could have brought over 100 elephants, and maybe we would have seen a goat or something like that. No elephants. What do you think, Dawg?
Yeah, I don't think those elephants were going to help at all. And also, the one thing that kind of shocked me was after the front gate kind of explodes like that. I want to ask you another question about that front gate again. After this, though, Mel. But after that gets decimated, then John's troops all charge. And I'm like, well, why doesn't Danny just Zambui him? Just kind of sweep across and just destroy all of them. Why is John's troops even charging at this point? What's the whole point of that? It didn't make any.
Well, as Davos said, you need troops on the ground. You need troops on the ground, right? Then when Davos said that, right, to Stannis Baratheon, you need troops on the ground.
And I don't think all they needed was Danny and Drogon for this whole entire sequence. They could have just had Danny and Drogon go to this encounter, and she could have taken King's Landing all by herself without any backup. Maybe she could have had somebody cheer her on or something at some point. She was kind of looking for somebody to love her, kind of. So maybe that's what maybe she could have brought her own fan team. But I thought for sure that maybe she would just kind of sweep through. I thought it was kind of silly that that they kind of attacked after that. But I saw somebody who was questioning how the gate perfectly exploded from behind the Grand or from the Gold Company.
Yep.
And how did it possibly do that? Is that like a dragon magic thing, Milt? I know you're a super geologist, rock expert here. Yeah. And what would happen to these bricks as they heat up? Well, and would they explode kind of like that? I wanted to ask you
dragon fire is supposed to melt, right? So it's super heated. Right? It melts, right? There shouldn't be any kind of concussive force with dragon fire. So, as to why it just exploded like a projectile hit it, right? Or if there was some sort of I don't know why. Okay. It doesn't make sense. It should just melted, guys. But, or they could have melted the stone so fast that the gate could have crumbled, but it wouldn't have just exploded outwards, right? So, because you got to have some sort of concussive force to do that.
So. I just found it kind of a nice, convenient explosion for their side, if you will.
Or what could have happened is maybe the Golden Company, in all their wisdom, decided, hey, if we're losing the battle, we can all sneak in there and then we can set off a charge and blow up the bridge, and maybe maybe the Dragonfire lit up the bomb, the explosive charge, and that made it explode. I have no freaking idea. I'm really just. I'm really disappointed by the battle tactics too, in terms of how to defend a castle. They had time. They might have been able to build a moat, okay? And why weren't they using their best weapon that Cersei had? Wildfire, guys. You could just lob wildfire at the soldiers, at the Unsullied and the Dothraki, and down they would have went. Lobbing wildfire, people. You would have decimated their entire army doing that. Or have a moat lit up with wildfire. Just saying, guys. Cersei still has a lot of wildfire left, okay? As we saw when he saw all those green explosions, in the 30 minutes of death and destruction. So, there you guys go. So, That's my number 2. Dog. Guess what?
That's a great pick there.
It's number 1.
And I have one last question about these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just I guess just my overall thoughts on this was just sad, pointless, and again, yeah, why would you bring these troops out in front of the gate in the first place, right? Why wouldn't you just kind of stay inside and throw oil on top of them? Yeah, that's what it was. It was we had seen Braun in the previous season. He was telling that guy to bring more oil and more, barrels and whatever, and it didn't seem like they were trying to utilize that.
No.
Of course, Danny was just destroying everything anyway. So, Golden Company was a total wash.
Yeah, I mean, there was, from what happened, based on what happened with this episode and how poorly they, how limp, essentially, how flaccid they were in terms of fighting, they shouldn't have even been mentioned. I mean, there was absolutely no use to having them, especially, when Harry Strickland said 20,000 Golden Company soldiers and 2,000 horses, and we didn't see anything like that.
Oh, okay. That horse. It was weird because I was making a little funny bicycle race video with Danny, and when I was at that scene when they first get hit, and Harry kind of goes off his horse. It was kind of weird because as I was kind of clipping on, I think they kind of made a mistake because they go back and they show like a rider, on that horse that we see kind of laying in the field.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's actually Harry or not. But there might be an extra horse. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, Milt. But
okay, no. Actually, I have a slide of that. Okay, and we will get to that. Definitely.
Yeah, I was like frame by frame frame on it, and I'm going, what's going on here?
Yep. I have a great explanation for that scene, dog. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I didn't think anybody would catch that. Okay, so
I wouldn't have if I wasn't making that silly video, but.
All right. So number 1, guys, we're down on number 1s, and Dog, take it away. Who's your number 1?
Folks, and this is my number 1 moment, folks, because I think this one has the most ramifications. Of course, Danny turning was a big moment. Of course, I've explained all my sadness about what happened with Danny, of course, but let's get into this moment. I believe is the top moment for me, just because of what's going to happen here in the future. Arya is going to be a little pissed off right now, folks. Pardon my sailor language here. But I believe Peter Griffin, he was in the chat earlier, and I know that I had counted 23 times, but he had corrected me. It was 24 times that Arya was almost killed by Danny. Right? So I don't think Arya is going to care what side Danny's playing or what's going on here. She tried to kill Wolverine our Wolverine character a total of 24 times now, and Arya is going to be a little upset about that and probably going to take action against her. That's my guess here. Now I want to kind of go back to when Arya, she leaves the Hound. Of course, he tells her, "Hey, if you come with me and you go through here, that's like Friday the 13th area, and you don't want to go there. Pretty much only Jason can possibly live, right? So you need to leave." And now she leaves, and now she is literally. And I felt like this watching the episode. And then when you watch the inside the episode and you hear Dan and Dave talk, and that's exactly what they used Arya for. So the first person that's always been on her list has been Cersei, and yet, that's not going to happen now. They basically used Arya because we love Arya, of course, and it's nice to be with Arya. It's always nice to be with Arya on the scenes, of course. Mm-hmm. So, but why not have the fans kind of going through Arya, seeing a point of view from Arya as the destruction of King's Landing is happening, and so that's kind of what was going on here. Arya was pretty much planted in. I think they even kind of said that she was kind of there for fan service.
Yeah,
to kind of show us the devastation that was happening down on the ground. The lady and the daughter, we meet them originally. The Hound's like, "Hey, get out of the way," and Arya looks back and sees those two, but I think they come back into play when the Clegane Bowl's kind of going on, and they keep flashing back to Arya and the Hound, Arya and the Hound, and then we kind of have a Galadriel moment and Frodo where that lady kind of picks up Arya, and she's like, kind of get up, get up, Frodo. And then Arya gets up, and then her plot armor is absolutely huge, and she's almost killed, and then they cut to somebody else, and then she's almost killed and cut to somebody else.
Yeah.
And they did a kind of a throwback to Shireen. And also, I want to say Schindler's List also with this, where they had you could see the little wooden horse that girl's got.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I know I had a bad feeling about her. And I thought they tried to, kind of do a throwback to Shireen, on her death, showing the horse. But it was also kind of it's not so much of a copy, but it's kind of a similar scene to the little girl in Schindler's List that Oscar Schindler sees, and that she's like the only colored character in the entire film. The whole film's in black and white except for that one character, right? Because it's supposed to definitely have some sort of meaning and effect to the audience. And so, once we saw that wooden horse, and then it's that Schindler's effect, from this. It was brilliantly done, of course, but it was predictable at the same time.
Yeah.
But now I think getting down to brass taxes here, Arya's basically going to go after Dany no matter what now at this point. And if Jon gets in her way, or Davos gets in her way, or Tyrion tries to get in her way, she'll take those folks out too to get to Dany. I'm kind of curious about that, if Arya might have to possibly attack Jon, because Jon won't, go after Dany possibly.
I have my other ideas about what's happening here with Jon and Arya. Yeah, I mean, poor nameless woman and her daughter, because her and those 15 other people were all safe and sound, right? In that little wedge underneath a crashed building, right? They were safe there, they were sheltered there. And what does Arya do when she gets there? Oh, you guys have to go. You guys are all going to die, right? So they all run out and get basically 2 seconds later get burned alive by Drogon. So great job, Arya. You're the only person that survived because you're Wolverine and you have your plot armor. So, I mean, I think it went too long. I mean, I get it. Okay, you want to see the viewpoint of somebody, on the ground, see the scale of death and destruction. I totally get it. But I think it was just really overdone. Okay, it focused way too much on Arya, honestly. From her viewpoint, and maybe I would have loved it if they focused it from a nameless person's viewpoint, who would have died at the end. So it could have been anybody, just a generic. Even Ed Sheeran, right? If Ed Sheeran could have been there at King's Landing, and we would have seen his viewpoint of the death and destruction. Wouldn't that have been awesome? Wouldn't that have been more impactful than having Arya? No,
I think so too.
Arya? Yeah, Ed Sheeran, not Ed Sheeran. I'm just making a joke. So anyway, you get the idea, right?
Makes sense to me for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so she's definitely going to be upset. And also, hey, you see that streak of blood, crossing from her, kind of like her right side of her face down to her left cheek? Do you think that's actually not a streak of blood and actually a scar, like a cut? I mean,
I was wondering that too.
Yeah,
but
I mean, do you think that's her Sandor Clegane kind of mark?
Ooh, that's a great idea there, because even Sandor, when he was like, "Look at me."
Yeah.
You want to be like me?
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, "Do you want to look like me?"
Yeah.
And that's I almost thought that at first, Mel, but of course, if you've ever seen somebody getting cut on the head, it's like blood all over the place too, right? So she might have a nick somewhere. It could be somebody else's blood for all we know. But I like that idea, Mel. I like that idea that's her Sandor mark now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And she'll make a really badass assassin with that, kind of like that mark on her face too, wouldn't you think?
That's a great job, Mel.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks really sharp, that streak of blood. It really does look more like a cut than it does just like a random streak. But maybe it's just that way because the makeup artist decided to be cool. I don't know. So let's go into my number one, Dog. You ready?
Oh yeah, I'm stoked.
My number one is Arya the White. Okay, the introduction of Arya the White. Okay, because she found Shadowfax. Like in Lord of the Rings, you guys remember when Gandalf the Grey turned into Arya the White? No, sorry, when Gandalf the Grey turned into Gandalf the White, guess who he found in a field? A white horse named Shadowfax. And who did Arya find in the burnt out ruins? A white horse, okay, named Shadowfax. And there you guys go, right there. You have a picture of Gandalf the White with Shadowfax. And before anybody says, that white horse is Harry Strickland's, do you dumbass melt? Well, I have a picture in the lower right-hand corner, okay, of that stupid horse, okay, after the explosion, okay? What you see, okay, you didn't see two horses, okay? What you saw was one horse being blown up with the front half on the front, and then you see the back half, the other two legs behind it. It was basically blown up in half, essentially. Okay, there wasn't another horse, okay? It was the same horse with basically that was blown up, a back half and a front half. All right, so it was not Harry Strickland's horse, but a theory would be that maybe the horse died, went to horse heaven, and Arya died, went to horse heaven or wherever heaven is, and they're both dead. Yep, that's right, guys. They're both dead. But really, I'm just kidding around. Okay, this isn't my number one. I fooled you all. Okay. In fact, it is, and this is serious because I think this is the best scene in the whole episode. I mean, and this scene actually makes it like worth 4 points. It's basically the brotherly love scene between Tyrion and Jaime. I thought this was the best, probably the most well done scene in the entire episode. Okay, I thought it was really touching. The acting was on point as usual, and I loved the quote by Tyrion. Right? No, you were the only one. Pause. Right? Who didn't treat me like a monster? You are all I had. And that's complete truth. It just basically shows you the depth of of love that Tyrion has for Jaime, and actually what Jaime has for Tyrion. Because Tywin Lannister hated Tyrion's guts. Cersei hated Tyrion's guts. I'm on the fence about Kevin Lannister because we don't know much about Kevin Lannister, but in the books he likes him, right? He's okay with him. But it was really the only person in his whole family that showed him any kind of love, regardless of him being a dwarf or being, an imp, was Jaime. And to see their final farewell done this way was awesome. It was Jaime, season 4, Jaime helping Tyrion escape, from the clutches of his father from being executed. And now we see the reversal here with Tyrion trying to help Jaime escape so he can save his family, essentially. Even though he doesn't like Cersei, he wants Jaime to escape with Cersei, have that baby, and live happily ever after all. So I thought this was a great scene. It was a positive moment, in terms, relative to everything else that went on in the episode. But I thought it was very well done, and I think this is probably the best scene in the entire episode. Or best, most well acted, regardless of, Lena Headey's, 30 minutes of staring out the window. And I thought this was great. So, Dog, what do you think about this? It's my number one.
I mentioned this before, Mel. It's a great pick.
Yeah.
Like I said, pardon me, that I thought that this scene was set up for fan service. Doesn't mean it wasn't great, right? I just felt like they were like, hey, we captured your brother, and it was a way for them to have a final scene with Tyrion and Jaime together one last time. And, I'm glad they did it. This was a situation where, it was goofy the way it was set up, how Tyrion, gets to get into the tent, right? But everything that happened inside the tent was perfect. And I loved the end, how he was saying, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be alive, or things of that nature. But it was kind of a direct opposite of what he was saying to Cersei in season 7. Was that episode 7, of course, right? When he was like, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for me, You'd have a son. If it wasn't for me, you'd have a father. I've thought of killing you more times than I could count. As the mountain was about to kill him, right? But his dialogue to Jamie was the complete opposite of what it was with Cersei.
Yeah.
In the finale of season 7.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I caught from it the most. And again, this was these are the kind of scenes that are going to get them an Emmy nomination, or somebody might be thinking of an Emmy nomination. And then you look at stuff that happens down the road with I'm the man that killed Jamie Lannister, and the tones do not match up.
Yeah.
And it's like it just feels like you're watching two different shows at times, right?
Yeah.
But and thank you, Jamie Lannister, Nikolai. I forgot. I can't pronounce his name.
Coster Waldo or something like that. Coster Waldo.
Yeah.
Waldo
I'm gonna call him Nick.
Yeah.
But, thank you for all the seasons and stuff, and so it's been a great ride.
Yeah,
and
what was cool was that Jaime's relationship with Tyrion never really changed, through the entire show. Yeah, I mean, after Tyrion killed, their father, right? Jaime wanted to kill him, but I doubt he was really gonna kill him because of that. Because Jaime still loved Tyrion. Tyrion still loved Jaime. Things were great. That was a constant. But what kind of annoyed me was Jaime's relationship with Cersei, right? Yeah, they were lovers in the beginning and everything else, but then I thought Jaime and Cersei were done last season, right? After she betrayed everything, and then Jaime goes ahead and basically declares his love for Brienne and everything like that, and all of a sudden, Cersei kills a dragon, and Jaime basically just needs to get away from Brienne and basically go back and run away to Cersei. It was just weird. I mean, it was just really inconsistent. I hated that part, but at least in the show, the relationship between Tyrion and Jaime was never confusing, and it was always pretty consistent. So that was it was good character portrayal with respect to that relationship between those two actors.
Like you're saying, Mel, the stuff around it, was just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And we mentioned last week, and I said I could understand when Jaime heard Sansa say, I wish I could be there when they executed your sister. And once he heard execute your sister, I was thinking, okay, he just wants to go save her. It wasn't a matter of I'm still in love with her and we've got to be there together. I figure it was just a matter of trying to get her out of the city.
Yeah.
But the context around everything else around what was going on in that tent at that time is
yeah, definitely. All right, guys, we are done. But before we leave, we are gonna recap our top 5s, for this really, really awesome episode. And Dawg, what's your recap? What are your 5?
My number 5, and I don't think Brienne's pregnant, folks. I know that's a big question going around, but she might be. But my number 1 tonight, folks, was I think Arya is going to be after revenge here, folks. She's going to be a little upset about her travels back from after leaving Sandor and saying goodbye to Sandor. I think after her trip on her way back and all the trials and tribulations she went through with that is going to lead to something a little maybe an attack. So number 2 is what I call execute order 66. When the bells start chiming and Dany decides to roast everyone. My number 3 is what I call ground assault. Kind of what was going on with Jon and Davos and Grey Worm right before they executed Order 66, and what happened with the ground forces kind of thing. So my number 4 was the Bell plan was pretty much and the reason why this was a big moment was because this was a question of, hey, was this Dany's turn to madness, or was this kind of preemanated, right? So, I mean, it's still mad to do what she did, but did she have this planned out, or did she go crazy when the bells rang? And I think this particular scene might have gave some details into that this was preemanated. So, And number 5 was the Spider's Last Web. And so long, Varys. And great stuff from Varys for all those seasons too, especially I think the season 3 stuff was really cool when he got his revenge on the wizard and stuff like that, and got a little bit more backstory on Varys a little bit. He was an intriguing character, Mel.
Yep. And for great picks, Doug. And for my number 5, or my top 5s, I mean, is basically number 5 was the most pointless death ever, and that was starring Qyburn, of course, and the way he went out with absolutely no other insights to his motivations and character, almost like the Night King in that respect. Number 4 was the cosmic coincidence with Euron and Jaime, and how they just happened to meet at the same place at the same time, so we can see a fight between two people who didn't need to fight one another. Number 3 was the Westerosi Westerosi Jedi mind trick, not Ninja Jedi mind trick, starring Tyrion Kenobi, basically on this Unsullied, how he basically told Unsullied to go away and leave him alone, unguarded, with Jaime Lannister. And number 2 was we may have needed those elephants, the Golden Company, and what the hell were they even doing in King's Landing or in the story in general? All they were going to do was basically fall apart like dominoes. And lastly, number 1 was, it's probably the best scene in my opinion in the entire episode, and that was the final farewell of Jaime and Tyrion Lannister. So that is all, guys. Thank you for coming out. And we are not done yet, because I would like to ask Dawg what his biggest prediction is for tomorrow night's episode. Like, what's going to happen? What is going to be your biggest surprise tomorrow night, or biggest prediction tomorrow night?
Well, my biggest prediction is Darth Vader. Danny, I'm afraid, is not going to make it. It's going to be all over for Danny. And then whoever kills her is not going to sit on the Iron Throne.
Yep. All right. And my
going to be somebody totally out of the blue.
My prediction is that I think Dany is pregnant. We're going to see her being crowned queen, but after that there'll be a big time jump. She'll die, and then we will see kind of like the ascension of Jon and Dany's kid as the monarch of the Seven Kingdoms. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I did have my dragon eggs one we talked about long ago, but
yeah,
I don't know if we're gonna see dragon eggs anymore now.
Mm-hmm. There is there's actually a betting pool, a line on who's going to be the leader of Westeros after the season, and the line is basically the favorite is Bran to be the leader of Westeros. He's a negative 400. He's a negative 400 favorite, meaning that in gambling parlance that you need to basically bet $400 to win $100. Okay.
Yeah, you do a lay.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that? You think the gamblers know something?
I think that's very possible, because we've been. I think last week we also talked about this, Mel. Or what's Bran doing?
Yeah.
Like we were like, we want to ask Bran stuff, and it's kind of weird because he's just kind of sitting there back there, just watching folks eat each other.
Yeah.
And then that's why I asked you last week. Was there any significance to Darren II and like his nephew? Is this symbolic to royalty, if you will, to something that would lead him to be on the Iron Throne?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah. I don't know about Bran. He has to have another story that we haven't seen yet. And there are like ideas, speculation out there that maybe he'll be the Night King. He'll be doing some weird kind of time traveling. All of a sudden, and he's actually the Night King. Who knows what's going to happen to that? Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen to that? And I really can't see him being a monarch. So I don't know I don't know why the gambling line or the betting line is so heavily favored towards him.
Who has the worst odds?
I think it's baby. I think it's not John. It's Sam and Gilly's baby.
Okay, I'm surprised Danny wasn't probably the lowest odds. That's who I would have. I'd have her at the lowest possible odds.
Yeah. Now, in terms of like the top underdog, is actually Sansa. She's at like plus 500, meaning people that if you bet $100, you'll get back $500. Okay, so she's at 500. So, and John's like at plus 700 or something like that. I mean, if I was actually gonna go ahead and bet on a value, kind of like place a value bet, I would bet on John. You know, because I think he's at like plus 700 or plus 800, which is pretty damn good odds for John. No, so but if anybody's in the Gangbangers chat room, I posted the betting lines on there, so go check it out, and elsewhere as well. Not that this channel condones gambling in any form or fashion. So without further ado, Dawg, before we leave, what's happening with you and what is going on with your channel? Is it going to be back up anytime soon?
Yeah, I think we're less than 30 days now on our little stint in the penalty box, if you will, right? So I think I'll be back around the 17th of June, being able to live stream again, folks. But in the meantime, we'll play some tunes, and I'm gonna be working on another probably another Danny video. Actually, I've had that in my mind to do another Danny video, but I want to see what happens tomorrow night first before I put the idea in motion. So I'll be doing some more music videos and things of that nature, and it should be fun. So, but definitely we'll be getting back into live streaming when that's all cleared. So less than a month though.
Awesome, Dawg. We're looking forward to live streams back in your channel. Every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the Citadel Trivia channel, there is a trivia stream. So go ahead and check it out. And I think this Friday night is going to be on a Clash of Kings in the Tiles format. And next week on the Westerosi Ninja channel, Dawg will be back because we will be doing our top 5 moments of Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6, the finale. Okay? And then after that, we'll have one more Game of Thrones basically focused collaboration. And after that, we may get into something else. Right, Dawg?
Yes, sir.
Never die. And that is it. So thanks everyone out there in the chat. I can't name everybody in there because I'll forget somebody. And my chat window only goes up so far. But again, thank you for everyone for coming out. And make sure that you visit my Teespring store because you can get a t-shirt just like this in any color you want, with the Westerosi Ninja logo, of course. And like and subscribe and all that other kind of jazz that you might have. And like and subscribe to Dawg as well. So all the information is out there in the stream description. So go check it out. And without further ado, I think that's it. So talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye, folks.
Ninja JK, dupla, jinxa, bota, chakra em cada linha de faca. Face, macramé no micado, passo, espadas por frases. Sintático, repara no que digo, é paradigmático. Não tenho paralelo, sou para lá de mágico. Sabes como rolo, martelo pneumático. Técnica secreta do monstro roxo. Estamos a meter-nos no dojo, estamos a manter como no jogo. Só com uma espada nos tojos. Plano picado, não sabes de onde esta ave vem. Nenhum radar pode detectar onde está a nave mãe. Tu sabes bem. Somos a clique, somos o clã. É Monster Jinx cabrão, respeito ao vais comer tartan. Na terra do nunca não digo banzai. Vivo na espunca e tenho um bonsai. Ninja que é ninja, ninja, frotas imperiais. E bate mal, logo bate mais. A minha crew não sem espelhos. Na rua, dragão azul, dragão vermelho. Sente o silêncio. Verso shinobi, nunca me canso. Sou de Nairobi, ágil como um ninja. Rápido como um ninja, letal como um ninja. Brutal como um ninja, fatal como um ninja. Forte como um ninja, secreto como um ninja. Devo mesmo ser um ninja.
Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas, 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 ninjas. Esta é para os meus só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus